Thank you, guys. Perfect, thank you. Yep, perfect, guys. Thank you so much. Yep, we're just gonna gather these little codes, guys. We'll go through some history. Awesome, thank you.
I found a baby, Mom.
All right, guys. Welcome to Buffalo Trace Distillery. My name's Owen. I'll be your tour guide today. As I said, I'm from Northern Kentucky. Did move up to Indiana for a little bit. Set out from Chicago. Then we moved back down to Kentucky for high school. After high school, joined the Coast Guard for 6 years. It was real fun. Spent a lot of that time down in Florida. Got a little too hot for me down there. Decided I missed my family and my bourbon roots, so decided to come back to Kentucky here. Currently going to the University of Kentucky, studying chemical engineering, hoping to get into distillations, want to be a master distiller one day. That's the goal. I like bourbon. I like talking, so might as well do it for fun, right? So enough about me. Welcome into Buffalo Trace Distillery. We are the oldest continuously operating distillery in the United States. Third oldest in the world. Very proud of our history here. Dates all the way back to 1786. Personally, I think the distillation took place before then. They were just too drunk to write it down. But yeah, jump back a little bit further to 1775. Two brothers, Willis and Hancock Lee. They depart Virginia. They're land surveyors by trade. They come out. They're looking for a place to settle. They come across these tracks, these traces, if you will, of a certain animal. Could anybody guess what animal that would be?
Kangaroo.
The kangaroos. Good guess. Any guess? Yeah, a mouse. Mouse is a good guess too. Yeah, I heard bison. Bison is the right answer, guys. A lot of people think it's the buffalo. Buffalo are native to Africa and Asia. Bison are native to North America. So it was actually the bison that they were tracking. But they saw these the 90-degree turn in the Kentucky River right in our backyard here, kind of in a natural sand bed. It allowed those bison to cross over. And on their chart, like I said, land surveyors, on their chart, their map of the area, they wrote the Great Buffalo Trace right there on that 90-degree turn. And so when we were rebranding to find a new name back in 1999, the Sazerac company found that chart. They decided to pay homage to those bison, the buffalo. They used to hang out in our backyard. So if you guys want to call us Bison Trace, you have my permission. Just nobody's going to know what you're talking about, right? So jump ahead a little bit further to 1869, where a man by the name of Colonel E.H. Taylor hits the scene. Anybody know him? Colonel Taylor, heard of him? I didn't meet him either, guys, don't worry. Just assume if I say a name from here on out, they got a bottle named after them, all right? So Colonel E.H. Taylor, 1869, he's a banker by trade. He specializes in OPM. Anybody know OPM?
Other people's money?
Other people's money, yes sir, absolutely. He specializes in spending other people's money. Like I said, banker by trade. He had spent some time studying overseas. He had learned the tricks and trade of the whiskey industry over there. And he saw some investments coming into his bank for some distilleries in the area. He's like, let's get into the game. So he buys the distillery on property here, was known as Leestown Distillery. He buys it for $6,000. Not bad. Worth almost $100,000 in today's money, but not only did he buy it for $6,000, he then tore down the distillery and rebuilt a brand new one. He invested $80,000 in order to do that back in 1869, which is kind of crazy. He builds it up. He builds it up all with copper in the fermentation tanks and copper in the stills. Right, everything that distillate touches throughout the process is going to be copper because he learned overseas that copper removes sulfides. Sulfides are responsible for giving you a headache. If anybody here drinks wine, got any winos in the crowd? Yeah, some winos? Yeah, be proud about it. Be proud. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, if you're a wino, sometimes you get a headache from drinking too much wine, right? It's because they're not you. Not you. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, so you're not supposed to get that same headache when you're drinking bourbon. Theoretically, you could get a headache from drinking too much bourbon. I just haven't found out what too much is yet. So, because if you have found out, you have to tell me about it after the tour, okay? So yeah, he is so proud of this copper, he renames the distillery OFC. It stands for Old Fire Copper. All right, that's important to know. There's going to be a quiz in about 10 minutes. If you get that question right, the tasting at the end of the tour will be complimentary, okay? OFC stands for Old Fire Copper. Everything's going well for Old Fire Copper, OFC, for about 10 years. Then lightning strikes and it burns the distillery to the ground. Bummer. Bummer. What's Taylor do? Goes and finds some more OPM, right? Absolutely. He's going to find another investor. He finds a man by the name of George T. Stagg comes on board. He buys Taylor out of 499 of his 500 shares of the company. He keeps Taylor on board with that last share. That share is known as the Master Distiller share because Taylor is well known in the bourbon industry. He makes a great product. His face is on the bottle, everything. His name is likeness, right? So he's keeping him on board because the people know his name. They know he makes a good product. 5-6 years go by, they start bumping heads. Taylor doesn't like that he's not in charge anymore. He's not calling the shots. In fact, they build a brick wall in between their offices. They can't stand looking at each other. They can't stand talking to each other, so they send an office boy back and forth to send messages, right? They can't stand each other. Eventually, Stagg buys Taylor out of that last share. In order to do so, he builds him a new distillery down the road. It was known as Taylor & Sons, now known as Castle & Key. So Taylor has a rich history in the bourbon industry, a rich history here. Very proud of our Taylor history. If you guys want to learn more about him, we do offer a Taylor tour here. Would love for you guys to come back. Moving forward, 1897, we hire a young man by the name of Albert B. Blanton. Any guesses on what that B in Albert B. Blanton stands for? Bourbon? Yeah, good guess. It's actually bacon. Albert Bacon Blanton. You got the middle name Bacon, you're bound for greatness, right, guys? Albert Bacon Blanton hits the scene. He's 16 years old when we hire him on board. We hire him on to sweep up after shift, do some odd and end jobs around the distillery, and in 1921, he becomes the president of the distillery. Awesome for him, right? Great job. Became the president of the distillery. What's going on in the 1920s? Prohibition, right? As I said at the beginning, though, we are the longest continuously operating distillery in the United States. That's because Blanton had a plan to get us through Prohibition. He partnered up with the Shinley Company out in New York, which obtained one of 6 medicinal whiskey licenses, which means you can go to your doctor, your dentist, your veterinarian if the dog's sick. You can say, hey, I got this cough, I just can't shake it. What can you do? And he'd prescribe you 1 pint of 100 proof whiskey, renewable every 10 days. Not bad. It's the same stuff we're making nowadays. It just had that medicinal label on it. So 10 days goes by. Now the wife's got it. Now the kids got it. Now everybody's sick, right? In total, in the state of Kentucky, we had about 2.5 million people in the state during Prohibition, but we wrote over 6 million prescriptions. Because I don't know if you know this, we like to drink bourbon here in Kentucky. Like I said, same stuff, just a different label. Jump ahead a little bit further to 1992, where the Sazerac Company, a family-run company out of New Orleans, purchases the property here. They rebrand us to Buffalo Trace in 1999, and then they invest $1.2 billion into our infrastructure here. I didn't ask this, is everybody able to find Buffalo Trace products relatively, where they're coming from? Sometimes, no, not as much. Hopefully, no. Yeah, you guys aren't in Kentucky. You guys gotta come here more often. It's always here. But the good news is that $1.2 billion investment, right, has doubled our production. In order to do so, we had to build a second still. We've been using one still since Prohibition. Everything you've tasted from Buffalo Trace has come off that still. If you guys look behind you, you're going to see a tall building, right? That tall building's actually, if you've ever seen a tall building before, you'll recognize that that's not one. But it's actually 2 tall buildings. Right in the back there, you might not see it from over here, but in the back there's the older brick. That's the old still, right? And then there's that newer brick up front. That old still, like I said, everything you've tasted has come off that still. We knew it made a good product. So in order to replicate it, we put a camera in there, we measured out every last nut and bolt. We sent it off to a contractor, and they built up that new still for us, right? They built it, they finished it in 2022. The one thing they did put in that new still, though, is that there was this dent in the side of the old column still. And our master distiller wasn't happy that they didn't put this dent back in the new still that they just built for us. And so he takes a sledgehammer, puts that dent right into the new still, the brand new still they just built. So don't you guys worry, anything you taste off that new still will be absolutely identical to that old still, all right? Part of that $1.2 billion expansion included building 24 new fermenters back in the back of the property here. Those are all 93,000 gallons apiece. We now have 36 total fermentation tanks. Also, we built 19 new warehouses up on the hill behind us, right? We call that the Whiskey Farm. I'll point them out later. Trees have grown and you can't see them as well nowadays. But 19 new warehouses up there, all about the size of a football field. They hold about 60,000 barrels apiece. In total, there's 1.2 million barrels aging up at that Whiskey Farm right now. That's not enough. So we built 17 more down in London, Kentucky. Of those, 6 more are still under construction. If you do the math, in total, there's roughly 2 million barrels aging, or just over 2 million barrels aging underneath the Buffalo Trace umbrella right now, guys. So keep drinking. I promise you, if you're not seeing these products right now, they're going to be on the shelves here soon. Okay? Products age 3 to 23 years, depending on that product. 3 to 25 in some cases, So, and we're even doing some experiments trying to prolong that aging cycle. It's just a tough thing. We'll talk more about that later, but great question. Any other questions, guys? That was about 300 years of history thrown at you right now. We feeling good? Good. All right, guys, we're going to head on out here. Hopefully you guys are ready for your quiz. All right, let's do it.
Oh, mommy's hand. Gotta hold somebody's hand.
I don't get it. So freaking old crap. He literally has 2 glasses sitting at home, 2 EH sitting at home, like a couple
It's
hours.
rare.
And then he's got some weird weller that he's not even opening. And then he has like a giant buffalo trace, a small buffalo trace. Like, he's like, no, I don't get it. No, I can't find it. No. No, it doesn't exist in Chicago.
It's hard to get.
All right, guys. One of the things that makes Kentucky so well known for bourbon is the limestone-rich water, right? When they were settling in the area, they saw all these natural springs around the area. They actually thought Kentucky was home to the Fountain of Youth. They never officially found the Fountain of Youth. However, at all these natural springs, they set up these distilleries. And at each of these distilleries, they started making bourbon. And I always think everybody looks a little bit younger after a glass of bourbon. So they might have found something. They just never told us about it. If you look to your right, this is not one of those natural springs. This is just an artificial thing, but it's home to our friendly neighborhood bison. His name's Thunder. Like I said, guys, feel free to take as many pictures as you want along the tour. You're not going to see anything proprietary today. But if you look behind me, you're going to see a warehouse. That is Warehouse C. It was built by Taylor back in 1885. Up top, there's 3 letters, OFC. Anybody remember what they stand for?
Old Fire Copper.
Old Fire Copper. Guys, round of applause for you guys. Tasting is now complimentary. Y'all did great. Yeah. So Taylor built this warehouse back in 1885. He put that nice limestone base on it. He put those arched window ways on it. Anybody know what that does for aging bourbon?
Absolutely.
Great guess. Even better guess. Absolutely nothing, guys. He put that, like I said, he specialized in OPM. He thought he'd build a nice looking building. People would come by to see it. They'd see it. They'd try the product. They tried the product. They might like it. And then they'd buy some more of it. And it worked out pretty well for him. We're going to walk in and talk, guys. Remember that Alabama right away because there's going to be some stuff and some other groups moving through here. As we're walking, you're going to see over my head, there's some pipes. Those pipes were introduced by Taylor back in his time here. Those pipes are carrying steam heat to our warehouses because he learned that when he was overseas studying that if the barrels go under 40 degrees Fahrenheit, then that whiskey's going to lose an aging cycle, right? The whiskey's going to go dormant inside that barrel. And that's not something we want here, right? Especially in the state of Kentucky, that's about 3 months of the year you're losing out on aging. And so in order to prevent that, he introduced steam heat. We still use it to this day, except it's natural gas now that we're putting it into those warehouses, that's producing that heat. The smaller pipes though, specifically the ones behind me, those ones aren't carrying steam heat, that's actually carrying our product. So if you see anything leaking out of there, call me over, we'll get underneath and we'll have a good time, okay? Come on over here, guys, we're gonna gather up before we head on over to the branding show. I am going to direct your guys' attention back on up to Warehouse C. If you look at the top of the building there, that roof there, it looks like somebody got up there and pressure washed and just got tired and said that's good enough. That is not the case. Back in 2006, we actually had a tornado that came through here. That tornado ripped the roof off that building and broke our elevator shaft and left those barrels at the top of the warehouse exposed to the elements for about 6 months. And we weren't sure what this was going to do to the product. A couple years go by, it ages, right? It comes to 2011, that product's ready to come down. We try it, our master still tries it. He says, this is some of the best product we've ever made. We made it by accident. Mother Nature just kind of blessed us with a really good batch. And so we sent it off to the marketing team. We said, hey, give this a short, sweet, concise name, something that people will remember that say, hey, this was a good product by Buffalo Trace. Any guesses as to what they called it? Tornado Survivor is a great guess. They actually called it the Colonel E.H. Taylor Warehouse C 2006 Tornado Surviving Edition, right? Yeah, it's a great guess. Rolls right off the tongue every time, guys. They sold it for $70 back in 2011. Anybody know what it's worth nowadays? Say that? What? $7,000. I've seen sales upwards of $15,000 for one bottle, which is absolutely crazy, right? On my second tour here, a guy came up to me and said, hey, like, I bought a case of that back in 2011. I said, wow, you must be doing pretty well for yourself. He said, I drank it. Yeah, he did say it was good though, so we'll believe him. We are gonna head to the branding shed, guys. It's right over here. That's where we'll receive our barrels on any given day, okay? I do like to walk backwards. That doesn't mean I'm good at walking backwards. So let me know if I'm gonna hit anything, okay? You guys doing any little tours while you're in the area?
See, that's our customer.
I was about to say, it's like a sister gift or something.
It's a telehandler. Hey, at least I see it.
No particular plans to stop anywhere, but
I don't know. I don't know if they're in there. I said I was one.
did you down here? No? Normally we would walk down that road, but we just have this one thing here, kind of changing our operations. The warehouses are not accessible. like I said, we're heading to the Brandon shed. Feel free to gather around. I'm going to pass around some staves, all right?
Yeah, he said gather around. Oh, come in.
There you go. Yeah, feel free to pass that around, take a look at it. So you want to take a look at that? Notice the size difference in those. You guys gather around, gather around. What are their names? Olivia and Casey. Casey, you guys mind helping me out today? Yeah, you want to help out? I got some displays for you guys to hold. You want to hold that for me? Pass it around, let everybody see it. There we go. I'll get you one too, Casey. Oh, there we go. Yeah, just feel free to walk around with it, guys. Let me know if it gets too heavy. Just bring it on back to me, okay? All right, guys. Hey, welcome into the branding shed. Oh, yeah. Here, I got you. I got you. Great job, guys.
Jason, go show everybody. Pick it up.
You want to pick it up, Casey? You got
Pick it up. Now go show everybody.
I'll show everybody. Don't hate your sister, though. Don't hate your sister, okay? All right, guys. Welcome into the branding shed. The branding shed got its name because there used to be a set of railroad tracks that came down here, right? Those trains would be bringing in our barrels every day. Tug of war. There we go. All right, so those barrels would come in. We used to have an open flame and some hot irons. I got you guys right here. I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you. It's all good. Nice job, Casey. You did great. So those barrels would come in. They get immediately branded by that open flame and hot irons, right? Like I said with the no smoking rule, probably not a good idea to have an open flame and hot irons here. Hence why they built a fire station right behind the building here. That building right over to the right used to be a fire station. Just in case anything happened to those barrels, you know, we'd be able to protect them because the city of Frankfort didn't have enough time to get on scene before that bourbon could be gone, right? Got to protect the bourbon, built our own fire station. Nowadays, we receive our barrels via semi-truck. They're going to come in through the back here, through those green doors there. They're going to get offloaded about 2 at a time. In a given day, we'll receive about 2,000 barrels. Within 24 hours of receiving those barrels, they're going to be filled up with product and sent off to the warehouses. Our barrels are all coming from our Cumberland Cooperage down in East Bernstead, Kentucky. That cooperage was purchased by Buffalo Trace back in 2014, and they've been supplying our barrels ever since. Those barrels are going to come in, like I said, offloaded 2 at a time. They're going to get sent around the room here to the back of the branding shed, sent on over to the cistern room. Before it gets there, however, it's going to get inspected, right? When it comes to making these barrels, they're going to be made up of about 32 different staves, okay? These staves aren't all the same sizes, so when the cooper's putting them together, it's kind of like piecing together a puzzle, right? So he doesn't always get that puzzle perfectly fit together that first go through. If we notice any obvious cracks or obvious leaks in the barrel, we'll just send that back to the cooperage. They'll take care of it, repiece that together, repiece that puzzle back together a little bit tighter. When it comes to making bourbon, there's a couple rules. First and foremost, does anybody know where you can make bourbon? Kentucky's a great guess. Anybody else?
America.
America. Yeah, so in 1964, the United States government named bourbon the national spirit of America. So that means you can make bourbon anywhere in the United States. That being said, 95% of the world's bourbon does come out of Kentucky, and in my humble opinion, 100% of the best bourbon comes out of Kentucky. So Kentucky's not a wrong answer, it's just not the right one. Now I'm going to go through the ABCs of bourbon, right? When it comes to bourbon, A stands for no additives. All bourbon is whiskey, not all whiskey is bourbon. If you're making bourbon and you add a dash of cinnamon, a drop of food coloring, any sort of flavoring, now you're making plain old whiskey, and that's not the goal here, right? You're going to get 50 to 60% of your flavor just from that barrel, right? All of it's coming from that barrel, or 60 to 70% from that barrel. The rest coming from your mash bill, right? Your grains. The B stands for the barrel. Technically, the rules of bourbon state it has to be a new charred oak container. It doesn't necessarily have to be a barrel. We use barrels because they roll and because they hold a lot of product. Our barrels are all 55 gallons each. We put about 53 gallons of White Dog in them before they head off to go age. New. Has to be a new barrel. Can't be used for anything else in its past, right? Anybody here drink tea? Tea drinkers out there? When you're making tea, that first batch of tea you use with that tea bag makes a nice, strong, flavorful batch. If you try to reuse that same tea bag again, not gonna get the same effect. Similar thing when it comes to bourbon, right? When you're using this barrel, you can see that red line that comes across that stave there. That's how far into the barrel that the bourbon went during its aging cycle, right? You're gonna get, like I said, 60 to 70% of your flavor out of that barrel when you're using it. You can't use that barrel again and get the same effect. So we don't like to put our barrels to waste though. We like to send them off to other companies to use. A lot of companies are now on the bourbon barrel craze. I know hot sauce, coffee beans, some tequilas are finished in bourbon barrels. My shampoo is finished in a bourbon barrel, guys. So if you want that shampoo, let me know. I'll send it your way. So yeah, all sorts of companies are in that bourbon barrel craze. The ones that we can't sell off to other companies, the ones that can't be reused, are going to go over to our whiskey woodcraft. It's a building on property that's going to refurbish those barrels into furniture, fun little projects. They make coasters, all sorts of fun, custom barrel heads and whatnot. I'll be sure to point you guys in their direction at the end of the tour if you guys are interested. A new charred oak barrel. Char. We use a number 4 char here at Buffalo Trace, otherwise known as an alligator char, because the effect it leaves on the inside of the barrel kind of looks like alligator scales on the inside of there. In order to get a number 4 char, you're going to hold an open flame to the inside of that barrel for about 55 seconds. That's going to open up the sugars in the wood and allow that to interact with the distillate throughout the aging process. A new charred oak barrel. It doesn't specify what type of oak. We here at Buffalo Trace use white American oak. But we're not afraid to experiment. So much so that we built an experimental warehouse up on the hill here. We built that warehouse with a retractable roof to try and recreate the events of that 2006 tornado, doing all sorts of different barometric pressures in there, right? We believe that the best bourbon is yet to be made, and that's not so like it's obviously proven the 2006 tornado. That being said, those experiments, the results of them are about 20 years away from being able to mass produce those results. So just keep on drinking, guys. It's only going to get better from here as we experiment and play around with this bourbon and get you guys that good stuff. Finally, a new charred oak barrel. The C and the ABCs of bourbon stands for corn, all right? We here at Buffalo Trace receive on average 1.5 million pounds of corn in a given day. That's about 26 truckloads of corn coming in here. That corn's coming from a 150-mile radius of Buffalo Trace, so typically northern Kentucky, southern Indiana area. That corn is a number 1 or a number 2 yellow deck corn, which is technically a higher grade corn than the sweet corn that you guys are eating on your dinner tables at night. When that corn comes in, the first thing we're going to do is inspect it. We're going to be looking for moisture content, heat damage, any missing kernels, stuff like that, right? We're going to reach down in there and inspect it. If it meets our expectations, we'll send it up to the hammer mill. If it doesn't meet our expectations, don't worry, we'll just send that truck down to Wild Turkey and they'll take care of it for us. Yeah, low blow there, guys, sorry. We love them over there, they do a great job. But yeah, after that we're going to go to the hammer mill and then it's going to go through the distillation process, which I'll explain on our walk to the cistern room, which is our next stop. Okay, guys? Any questions about branding, Chip? No? Casey, you all good? No questions? You're good? Yeah? All right, guys, we're going to head on out here. To the right, just hang out by that white trailer there. I'll be down in a second, okay? Apologies for the excess noise. As you guys probably heard, we had a major flood came through here about 2 months ago. That's got the warehouses still in repair mode. We're going to walk this way to the cistern room. I just turned up the volume on my mic. Let me know if you can't hear me. But that grain's going to go to the hammer mill. It's going to get grinded down, right? It's going to get grinded down to size. Then it's going to go to our cookers, or sorry, to our scale bins. Our scale bins is where we weigh it out per the mash bill recipe. So you're going to add in your flavoring grains. You're going to add in your malted grains, right? So when it comes to bourbon, your flavoring grains are most typically rye or wheat, and we here at Buffalo Trace for that malted grain use a malted barley. We're heading this way, guys. From there, it goes to our cookers, okay? Once it's at that mash bill recipe, it goes to the cookers. That's where we introduce some setback and bring it up to temperature. From there, it goes to the fermentation tanks, which is the most important step of the bourbon making process because that's where we introduced yeast. All right, yeast is that's what's going to turn your sugars and your starches into ethanols and alcohols, right? We use one strand of proprietary yeast here at Buffalo Trace. We've been using it since Prohibition. That yeast is stored on 6 different continents in case anything goes wrong with it. That yeast is constantly being studied to make sure it's not growing any stray strands, right? It's going to ferment for 3 to 5 days. From there, it's going to go to the beer well where it'll sit before it goes through the still. We use a column still here at Buffalo Trace that has 13 different plates on it, and I'll talk more of it as we get under here. Oop, they got a golf cart in the way. Anybody celebrating anything today? Birthdays, off work, it's a Saturday, anybody?
Actually, our 3-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. Anybody else? Yeah? Birthday? Who we got? There you go. Just celebrating Saturday. Here you go.
Saturday.
Yeah, guys. So, yeah, absolutely, guys.
Thank you.
I got one more. So, guys, this is the cistern room. Yeah, I got you guys. This is the cistern room, right? So it goes through that still. As I mentioned, it's a column still. It's got 13 different plates on there. Okay, those plates all have tiny little holes in them. That is going to send vapor up through the still. The feed's going to come across those plates, drop down, then go across the next plate, right? As that vapor comes up, it's going to evaporate off that alcohol. That alcohol is going to go to a condenser. That's the important part, right? It's going to go to the condenser. It's going to condense it into a liquid again, send it on down to the doubler, all right? The doubler isn't going to double the quantity of it, but it will double the quality of it, all right? So it's going to go from a low wine to a high wine in that doubler. From there, it goes on over to these wells. It's going to sit in these tanks here, about 70,000 gallons a piece here. They're going to sit in these tanks, and from there, it's known as White Dog, and that's what's going to get loaded up into these barrels. These barrels are going to come down the line here, as you can see on that track. Obviously, there's no production going today. Today is Saturday. But they're going to roll on down the line there. They're going to fill that product in there. They're going to hammer the bung into the bung hole. Guys, these are technical terms, I promise. Sorry, kids, cover your ears. So yeah, they're going to load the bung into the bung hole. This bung is made of a poplar wood. It is one of 2 other woods being allowed to be introduced to your barrel. All right, it is made of poplar wood. Poplar is not going to add any flavors to your bourbon. It is absorbent though, and it creates a great seal when it expands when it gets wet, right? So it's going to create a good seal to prevent any leakage coming out. The other type of wood is cedar wood. During its aging cycle, right, we're going to go in there very often to test that bourbon. We're going to drill through that barrel to test some bourbon. We'll be patching those holes with the cedar wood. It's just a little wedge that goes in there. I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you guys right now. Feel free to forget them in 30 seconds, okay? So, bourbon rules dictate that it comes off the still no higher than 160 proof, okay? So bourbon rules state. We here at Buffalo Trace come off around 145, okay? That's typically where our products come off. From there, in order to go into the barrel, it has to go down to 125 per the rules, which is what we do with most of our products, except for our wheated mash, which goes into the barrel around 114. All right, 114 is the proof. Once it's down to that proof rate, all you're adding to get that proof down is water. That is the only thing you're allowed to add to your bourbon during its process, right? It's going to roll down the line here. They're going to hammer the bung into the bung hole, spin it around on that plate, and then lift it up onto this track. That track's then going to roll it on out where it's going to head off to a warehouse to age for 3 to 23 years. Sound good? Any questions about the cistern room? No? All right, we're going to head on over to the regauge room, which is home to one of my favorite smells. Also, they got a lot more broken bungs over there if you guys are interested, all right? Those ones smell a little better too. But all right, guys, heading on this way. Who called for it? Somebody called for it. Yeah, there you go. All right. So Buffalo Trace hasn't come out with an official statement on how many barrels we lost during the flood. They're doing their best to recover them, dry out these warehouses. But like I said, no official statement. Still in the recovery mode.
Going to charge more for it?
So here's my theory. Here's my theory. This is not an official statement, right? So don't take this with any ounce of truth to it. But similar to the 2006 tornado, right? There's a possibility they could come out with a flood surviving edition. That being said, there's different regulations with that, because with the tornado surviving, where you're just getting fresh water being rained down on it, versus a flood where it's dirty river water. So I don't know. That's for you guys to find out. You never know. But that being said, if I do see a flood survivor edition bourbon coming out, you'll be sure to have it on my shelf, right? Yeah, it's just an investment, right? It's like stuff. He was right. He was right. You want bourbon too? Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we're gonna head on into the regauge room. Like I said, home to one of my favorite smells on property. Those barrels sit right there. It's gonna be heading off to our the whiskey wood cabinet. It's gonna be refurbishing of that furniture into those different fun little projects. Okay, guys, come on in here. And for reference, guys, flood-wise, the water was over this door here, about a foot over this door here. That room where you guys got your wristbands was about 11 feet high.
Yes, see how it looks. Yeah. It lines up almost perfect. For that building. Got a frequent.
This is the important part. This is the char that comes out of that barrel. Oh, you didn't like that? Smell good? Oh. Yummy. Yummy. This is my favorite smell on property, guys. Yeah. For the camera.
Oh,
there you go.
Smells
Yeah.
delicious.
You want to smell?
Oh yeah. Dude.
This is my favorite smell on property, guys. This is the char that comes out of that barrel. Okay? Oh yes. Yeah, you can really get the bourbon feel out of that. That smells like bourbon.
So good.
Smells good, doesn't it?
Smells like daddy.
Anybody want another hit? I do. All right, guys. Yeah. So that's the char that comes out of that barrel. If I ever got a date, you know, after work or something, I'll come over here, grab a handful of that, put it in my pocket, rub it on my neck a little bit. But yeah. So the barrels go off to the warehouses to age for 3 to 23 years. All right. When they're done aging, they're going to roll through. On the ground there, you're going to see a little orange door, right? That trap door is going to allow those barrels to roll through. From there, they're going to get lifted up onto this track. First thing they do is they're going to take that drill hanging from the ceiling and drill the bung out of the bung hole. Then they are going to take that snorkel, put it right in there. It's going to help aerate the process, allow it to dump out a little faster. From there, we're going to spin the barrel over, and it's going to dump into this trough here. That trough has 2 layers of stainless steel mesh. That's what's going to be catching that char as it comes in, okay? That's the char that we just smelt. That's what's interacting with the distillate throughout the entire aging process. From there, the distillate that comes out, the bourbon that comes out, gets sucked up this blue pipe. That blue pipe's going to take it back to the back of the room here, back to the whiskey filtration process, the whiskey filtering process. There's about 10 different levels of filters back there, okay? From there, it has to get chill filtered, which obviously the chill filtration system's close by, right? They're going to put it somewhere very close. They actually put it all the way back by that tall building I showed you guys at the beginning of the tour. And then from there, it goes to the high-speed bottling hall, which is obviously right next to the chill filtration system, right? No, it's all the way on the other side of the parking lot that you guys parked in. I'm serious when I tell you guys that stuff's carrying our product. Those pipes are carrying our product. So if you see any leaks, just call me over. I would actually love a drink. From there, as I mentioned, the only thing you can add to your bourbon is water. So those barrels are going to roll around here. They're going to take them down the other track. That's where they're going to add some water into the barrels, put that bung back in, spin it around, and then they're going to dump that water. And that's also going to go through the same process. It's just going to be added to your bourbon. It's going to proof it down a little bit, okay? Any questions about the regauge room? Yes, sir.
So, like, unless it's a store request, how many other do you have? Any other products that you don't chill filter?
So there's like the straight from the barrel stuff that gets normal filtered but not chill filtered. There are a couple.
Weller 107 once that said it was non-chill filter, but it was a store pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so the stores are the only ones that like you'd be able to get that.
No, there's definitely other bottles. I could get you a more specific list after the tour.
Oh, okay.
If you're interested. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great question though. But yeah, specifically the ones that are straight from the barrel aren't going to be chill filtered because
Okay.
they're going to protect that. They're going to protect
Your flavor
that.
profile. Yeah.
Yep. So, great question. Anything else, guys? We got one more stop on this tour. It's going to be the Blanton's Bottling Hall. We're going to walk and talk about a warehouse while we're moving. But other than that, we're going to head out this way. Okay, guys? Ready? Head out this way. I'll be out there in a second.
It's empty.
Make sure nobody stays behind.
It starts taking that hose and be like, ah! What do you think of the tour so far?
I think you're enjoying it.
It's magnificent. This is the favorite thing I've ever done in my life.
Hey, it's an experience, buddy. Those little kids are having a blast.
They are.
Playing with staves, hitting her brother.
They're too young for me.
All right, guys. Part of that $1.2 billion expansion was building a brand new state-of-the-art water treatment facility, which is located right behind us here. That's our way of giving back to the city of Frankfurt. For a long time, we're going to walk and talk, guys. For a long time, we were using the majority of the city's water, but now when anything were to happen, such as a flood in 2025, we're able to give back to the city by providing power to them. Up on the hill behind that, through those trees, that's where the whiskey farm is, right? That's where those 19 new warehouses holding about 60,000 barrels each are. If you take a certain road out of here, you can drive up past them. I don't know whose idea it was, but they painted them Louisville Cardinal blue, or Louisville Cardinal red, and I think they'd look a lot better as a UK blue, but that's just my opinion. When it comes to our warehouses, guys, typically we'd be heading into warehouse I right now, which is a vertical aging warehouse. That means airflow moves vertically throughout it. We also have horizontally aging warehouses, which can be seen right over here. You're gonna see there's those concrete floors in between. Airflow is gonna be controlled per floor on those warehouses. These warehouses are built The outside structure is built independently of the ricks inside. So if anything were to happen to the outside structure, I'm going to turn this up, guys, as we walk past the loud noises. As we, sorry. The ricks are built independently, so if anything were to happen, such as a tornado in 2006 or a flood in 2025, those ricks are going to be perfectly fine, and they're going to stay standing. When it comes to your warehouses, I want you to think of your warehouses like your house, okay? Oh. Here you guys, tuck in this way. Don't get mixed up with them. So I want you to think of your warehouses like your house, okay? Your house, take a couple barrels that come out of the cistern room. We got 3 of them sitting in front of me, all coming from Mash Bill 1, right? Mash Bill 1 is responsible for a couple different products, but you take one of those barrels, you put it on the top floor of your warehouse. I want you to think of that like your attic, right? Hi, Karen.
Hi, guys.
My group said we could take yours in a fight, but I said we'll let them go this time.
Look at some of these guys. Look at them.
Yeah. They're nifty. They're swift. So yeah, you can take that first barrel, you put it on the top floor of your warehouse. Like I said, think of it like your attic, all right? It's kind of, as it gets hot up there, right? Hot in your attic year round. As that temperature goes up, so does the pressure inside that barrel. It's going to push that bourbon in and out of that barrel rather quickly. It's going to allow you to age that bourbon a little faster. That's where you're going to get a product such as Benchmark out of Mash Bill 1. Put it on the top floors, age it 3 to 5 years, you'll get Benchmark. Take that middle barrel, that second barrel from the cistern room, you put it on the middle floors of your warehouse. Middle floor is kind of more like your living room, a little bit more moderate. Experiences the highs, experiences the lows, but it's not going to experience those extremes, right? So you're going to age it 7 to 9 years on the middle floors of your warehouse. That's where you get a product such as Buffalo Trace. Then you take that third barrel, you put it on the bottom floors of your warehouse, kind of like your kind of like your basement. Nice and cool down there year round. Going to get a nice long interaction with that oak, with that wood. You age it 10 plus years, you'll get a product such as Eagle Rare out of the bottom floors of your warehouses. When it comes to our warehouses, when it comes to our barrels, right? As I mentioned, those ricks are independent. Those barrels do not move once they're placed on that rick, okay? So our barrel team, which is a world-class barrel team, the women's team is a world record holder team, and the men's team is coming second place each year at these competitions. They're working on getting better, guys, don't worry. But that barrel team has to be very particular about how they place that barrel onto the rick, because like I said, they do not move those barrels once they're set in place, right? So they're going to take that barrel and put it in the specific position so that it rolls to its final destination with the bung hole or with the bung facing up. Because otherwise, if the bung is facing down, then you could get a leaky bung hole, and nobody likes those, right? Sorry guys, you guys didn't laugh hard at the bung hole jokes, so I'm just going to keep coming with them. One of the things that happens when you're aging bourbon, right? So you're going to put that bourbon in the warehouse, that barrel in the warehouse. The first year it ages, you're going to lose 5 to 10% of that product just due to absorption into the wood, evaporation, whatnot. You're just going to lose that. It's something you can't avoid. Every year after that, it's aging, you're going to lose 3 to 5% more of that product. So if you think about it, you put 53 gallons into a barrel. Oh, 53 gallons into a barrel, and you age it for 23 years, such as a Pappy 23. It's possible that you open up that barrel and you only have 5 to 10 gallons left of it. There's been days we've opened up barrels of Pappy 23 and it's been bone dry. And that's the day grown men cry around here, right? No good. Fun little shout out here, guys. If you look out to your right, you're going to see the world's smallest bonded aging warehouse. It holds 1 barrel. We built it in 1952 in preparation for our 2 millionth barrel. It's been holding our 1,000,000th barrel ever since. Currently, it has our 8 millionth barrel. We put that 8 millionth barrel in November of 2022, right into that warehouse. Since then, like, we were averaging about 1 million barrels every 10 years. But as I mentioned, we finished that second still in November of 2022. We are currently at 8.97 million barrels. So we're expected to reach that 9 millionth barrel by the end of the summer, which is very exciting. We are heading on in here, guys, into the Blanton's Bottling Hall. This is a working environment, guys. I'm going to ask that we stick to the green floor, okay? Sound good, guys? Come on in. Hey guys, stick on this green floor here, gather around. Feel free. There's some cool bottles over here. This is the closest we'll get to Pappy 23 today, or any Pappy Van Winkle products. They're in that case over there. Feel free to take a look. Industry. So he comes out with the first ever single barrel product. He names it Blanton's in honor of those parties with those barrels, right? Releases it on the market in 1984, and nobody cared. As I said, nobody was drinking bourbon back then. Don't blame me, I would have drank this stuff up. But what they were doing was collecting things, so he put these fancy little knobbers on it. They represent the different parts of a horse race. They spell out Blanton's name, and it kind of blew up into what it is today. Does anybody here collect? Yeah, I know Cason's starting to collect them now. Yeah, exciting, right? Yeah, so my favorite one's the S because it shows the jockey cutting across the finish line in victory. So yeah, just kind of cool stuff. Any questions about the Blanton's bottling hall, guys? We'll talk more about Blanton's when we go to the tasting room because it is on the tasting panel today, okay? You guys look thirsty, we ready to go? All right, guys, let's do a head on outside. I'll be out in a second, okay?
Tyler, that's for you.
Oh,
Thank you.